This is Let Us Interrupt You, episode 86, here on Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. After a wild weekend with the NFL, a lot of suspension changes. I apologize. I'm just trying to straighten out my area over here. A lot of good, crazy stuff happening in the NFL. A lot of great college football games over the weekend. A game that was a lot of people probably didn't consider it game of the year, but I'm considering it right now. TCU versus Kansas. Game of the year, of how close that game was. And honestly, I was surprised TCU survived it. I think TCU spoiled the Kansas fun. It is what it is. Last night's Raiders-Kansas City Chiefs game, I think now will be considered game of the year, considering how close it was and last-second drama and all that stuff right now with the questionable roughing the passer call, which has happened now all weekend now and happened Sunday with the Bucs-Falcons game as well. Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Brady getting away with getting probably the worst personal foul call of all time. And I would say by far this one was the worst because this might as well be like wrapping something up in bubble wrap basically and laying him down gently on the sack, and yet somehow that was called. That's how I would describe that last hit that Brady took in the game. Brady got hit 7 times in the game late and was never called at all. And then this play, I don't know if they were just trying to just give Brady the thing there. They said, okay, we'll give you the call because you did get hit a lot. And they saw the replay of it, of all the times he got hit in the game. They showed it like 1,000 times on the replay. Tampa Bay has got a funny thing when it comes to having things shown on Jumbotrons on replays. It really does. You can either cost them or give them the win. And in this case here, they survived. They survived the Atlanta Falcons somehow. The Chiefs somehow survived the Las Vegas Raiders somehow, even after the dumb, bogus call that they had go against them at first. I think if they would have won that game, I don't know if and here's my theory. I think Kansas City winning that game last night, that there was a lot of bogus stuff that went against them last night too. The officiating was terrible in both of these games. I don't know if it's just the fact that the NFL is afraid to get yelled at by Roger Goodell at this point. If all of a sudden now they're afraid of Roger Goodell, even though he doesn't really run the league. All 32 owners do. You know, the owners don't really care what goes on, what the rules are and all that stuff right now. As long as they get a good entertaining product and they get money from their fans, they don't care at the end of the day. They don't. But yeah, this weekend in the NFL was crazy. The Cowboys winning in LA with Cooper Rush. I did pick the Dallas Cowboys to win. I was not surprised how they won. Actually, I was kind of surprised at what the scoring was, but I wasn't surprised at all really of how Cooper Rush played in that game. Even though really it didn't even matter because the Cowboys still won anyway. And then you look at Buffalo destroying Pittsburgh at this point. Is Mike Tomlin on the hot seat? That's a lot of question right now at this point. There's already been one NFL head coach fired. His name is Matt Rule for the Carolina Panthers. I did call that. I did make that prediction over the weekend on the podcast. And as you know, there's no Michael Smith with me, like I said before. And this will probably be a continuation now going forward on Tuesdays. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. We try to make the scheduling here. We're actually trying to do the podcast later on right now, which will still be available on Tuesdays here on YouTube. So don't worry. As I'm recording this right now, this will probably get done as soon as possible right now at this point. But yeah, that's how it's going to go now going forward. Mike Tomlin might be on the hot seat. Michael Smith's on the hot seat right now for this podcast. Just kidding. But Michael Tomlin on the hot seat, I think. Frank Reich's on the hot seat. Josh McDaniels, even after last night, even though it was a really competitive game, is on the hot seat right now. Matt Alvarez is on the hot seat right now. Nathaniel Hackett's on the hot seat right now. There's a lot of coaches that are on the hot seat right now at this point. And there's one possible head coach top candidate for next season for football. His name is DeMeco Ryans, the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think he could make a hell of a great coach. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Mike Tomlin. So I think his coaching ability is similar to Mike Tomlin's, I think. So I think that's why it'll work out for him. Todd Bowles might be on his way out from Tampa Bay. If I be perfectly honest, he's a softie. That's all there is to it. I don't know what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense sees in him as a defensive guy or as a head coach guy, but I would say take Brian Leftwich or take Eric Bieniemy. I don't know at this point. There's a possibility right now of Sean Payton right now maybe getting the head coaching job next year in Carolina, maybe. He's had the news about that one and had some stuff to say, so we'll get into that. So, yeah, that's really about it. Anyway, up to this point, I might as well get into a baseball. Before I review all the football games of the weekend right now and give you all the scores, let me give you the news about what happened over the weekend of MLB wildcard weekend. So really the only good game that was out of the weekend was the Mets and the Padres. That was a great series. The Mets won game. I think did I cover the baseball games? I think. Oh no, I didn't. That's right, because I didn't early Saturday morning to prepare for the Texas Longhorn Oklahoma Sooner game. That's right. So I'll give you the Saturday and Sunday edition quickly. Guardians won in 15 innings with a walk-off home run by Gonzalez for the Guardians. Mariners won 10-9. They were down 5-1 in Toronto. They won 10-9. They swept the series in Toronto, so now they advance and face the Astros. The Guardians will face the Yankees in the ALDS, which starts tonight. The Mets won 7-3 over the weekend. They tied the series 1-1. Phillies swept the Cardinals, so the Cardinals are eliminated. Albert Pujols is now officially retired from baseball. Phillies won 2-0. Albert Pujols at one point actually was thinking about retiring back in mid-June due to his lack of good performance, but his great second half, especially when he hit 705 home runs, was remarkable, I think. Or was it 704? Was it 703, 704, 705? It was something like that. The point is, he did what he had to do. So congrats on a great season for him. It's too bad they didn't go deep. I really was surprised Philadelphia took the series in two. I really didn't expect Philadelphia to win the series in St. Louis. I really didn't expect it. I thought St. Louis overall was a better team. They had a better pitching. They had a better bullpen, better outfielder, in my opinion. So I don't know. Maybe it was the luck of the draw. Maybe Philadelphia had their Wheaties. I don't know. But they won this series. And the Padres beat the Mets. And this was the most embarrassing series, I think, in the end, because for Joe Musgrove to be investigated by baseball at this point for having pine tar in his ear, and Buck Showalter had him checked like every inning, it actually pissed off the Padres at that point. And didn't motivate the Mets to do anything else. The Mets couldn't do anything in this game at all. This was really the Padres just dominating at that point. And Musgrove, by the way, he's from New York. So this is what the sad part about this whole thing is, too, is they got a guy from New York who's now with San Diego at this point. Kind of regret not taking him, huh? Anyway. Nola singled to left field to allow Belt and Kim to score. Gresham with the second. Gresham singled to center field in the fourth. Fifth inning, Machado singled to right field. They made it 4-0. Then Soto had a 2-run single there, made it 6-0. That's all she wrote. This was a game that I really think realistically, if you think about it right now, they put Surgeon in there, fine, whatever. They put DeGrom, I don't even remember. It was DeGrom who came in for game 2. I think if you could have argued right now, they would have had Bissett in this game and then DeGrom for game 3. Or DeGrom in game 1 and put Scherzer in for game 2. I mean, I look at it like this. You get the Padres reeling right out of the gate from dealing with DeGrom. DeGrom at this point, who's been clutch in game 1 situations in playoffs before. So I don't understand why that happened. But yeah, that's that. I mean, I just think that the Mets screwed up the whole series up right now. They screwed up my World Series prediction. If I had to make a new one right now, if I had to make a realistic case for this one right now, I say right now it's right now the Padres and Yankees. It goes right back to that. I think San Diego's going to be a hard team right now coming into this thing. I think people are counting this team out already in Los Angeles. And I think a lot of people are thinking right now this series is not going to be thought about at all because the Padres are just going to sweep them in 3. I think this will be a tougher series. And I think the Padres will come out of it. I think the Padres realistically will come out of the series. I mean, I look at the rest of the card here. You just got rid of the Cardinals. So now you're down to the Philadelphia Phillies. Okay. You're down to the Philadelphia Phillies and the Padres possibly in the NLCS because the Phillies are going to go up there and face. I believe they face the. If I'm not mistaken, who the second best team is right now, the Atlanta Braves. I think right now the way Philadelphia is going into it right now, they may actually win that series, and we end up getting the Phillies Padres NLCS. Look, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think Atlanta's a great team. I think they're much better than Philadelphia is. But Philadelphia's giving them some trouble this year. So, I mean, and this is not an easy transition. So, they're getting well rested right now. I think the Braves got a little bit too much rest in them. I think that's what the advantage of having a wild card is. Everyone's saying how it's going to tire out the Padres. I look at it and I'm thinking, like, okay. And the reason I think Padres-Yankees is because, realistically, I think the Yankees take that series. I think they take it at Petco Park. I think they sweep the Padres. I think realistically, the Yankees are just that much better of a team right now. They have a better system. And I think realistically, I was going to say Mariners, Padres, but I thought to myself, that'd be a boring World Series. No one would care. No one would watch it. In this case, people will watch this World Series because it's going to start in New York and then it's going to go to San Diego right after. I'm thinking Padres, Yankees right out the gate here. And if it's Dodgers, Yankees, I'm thinking the same thing. The Yankees could get the series done. They get it done by November. Judge becomes MVP. That's the end of the story. Okay, that's just the end of the story. I have the Yankees now in the World Series. I was going to stick with the Mariners, but I thought to myself, you know what? They got to get by Houston and New York. There's no way. I mean, all the momentum went right to them anyway, but as soon as the Philadelphia Phillies finish off the Cardinals and the Padres finish off the Mets, I said to myself, yeah, it's not gonna bode well for Seattle. It really isn't. So I don't know how anybody else would feel about that, but that's just my take. Let me get this out of the way right now. The NCAA football that happened over the weekend. We had a great week 6. Really, there were some upsets here. Tennessee had a shocking game in LSU, even though it wasn't an upset. Really, it was Tennessee putting out the huge win, 40-13. I would say this was probably the game right now where Tennessee's defense came out here and made a statement. They did. They're up as much as 20-0 right now at the Jalen. Hyatt got a 45-yard touchdown pass from Hooker. Hyatt again got a second touchdown from Hendon Hooker. Right now, it was at that point 23-7. Later on there again, it was Kayshon Boutte for a 5-yard pass from J.D. Daniels. They failed a 2-point conversion. Got the field goal. 40-13 win. Tennessee in LSU, making LSU fans walk out. As now Tennessee is now 5-0. Hooker right now threw for 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jaden Daniels had something going on. 32 for 45, 300 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. This game all the way around was about Tennessee's defense and making a statement in LSU. And I think that was a shocking game out of the weekend. I thought this game would be a lot closer just based on the top ranking matchup. Plus, Tennessee on the road in LSU territory, it's like, you never know. But this LSU team is a fraudulent team. Brian Kelly was put in a situation where they had a quarterback catastrophe, and they got another quarterback that added that catastrophe. So it's just, although Daniels did play well in this game, I just think he's not the real deal in LSU. I'm sorry. He's just not. And those yards he put up in the end of the game were just garbage yards time anyway. Let's see. Notre Dame beat BYU in Las Vegas 28-20. This was a game where BYU struggled in this game. It was 18-6 at one point. That was 25-6. This game was already over by the third quarter. Michael Meyer got a 19-yard pass from Drew Payne. Drew Payne, by the way, had 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. However, BYU had 120 yards, throwing 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And this really came down to them trying to make something happen in the fourth quarter. And I think at the end of the day, it was a field goal that was I'm sorry, I just got a random text message just now. Anyway, so let me get into the rest of the upsets. Sorry, my mom just sent me a random stupid text message. But anyway, Michigan beat Indiana 31-10. Ohio State beat Michigan State 49-20. Clemson beat Boston College 31-3. TCU and Kansas. This is the game I want to talk about right here. This was the game of the year, in my opinion, for college football. Nothing's going to top this game at all. It had like playoff fever going into this game in Lawrence, Kansas. Anyway, this game started up with a field goal right now. Kendrick Miller, 1-yard run. The other Kansas field goal right now. Mason Fairchild had gotten a 12-yard pass from Jason Bean. Anyway, sorry again. I'm getting into these text messages right now. This is probably me about having people like trying to call you. Anyway, I love when someone tells you like, "Oh, I'm not going to disturb you," and then they send you like random text message questions. It's like it's annoying. Anyway, let me get back to the. Actually, let me start off. Let me review this all over again. And if I get interrupted again, I'm probably going to have to throw this person out of my house for today. Anyway, so it was 10-0. Then it was 10-3. Then it was Mason Fairchild getting a 12-yard reception from Jason Bean. Luke Grimm got an 8-yard pass from Jason Bean. Jason Bean came in for the other quarterback because he was out for the game. Bean was on fire in this game. He threw a 38-yard touchdown pass to Quentin Skinner for his third touchdown of the game. Before that, TCU had Darius Davis for 51 yards and Max Dugan. Dugan got a 3-yard run. Skinner again got his second touchdown of the day, 29-yard touchdown pass. And then Max Dugan drove the drive down the field, 24-yard touchdown pass. TCU gets the lead there. Last chance for Bean and the Jayhawks. Throws it back. And it ends up, I think it ended up being picked off there for the game-stealing interception. TCU gets to win 38-31. As this phone's just buzzing off right now. But TCU gets to win 38-31 in Lawrence, Kansas. Kansas Jayhawks 5-game winning streak came to a snap. TCU extends their winning streak to 6. They're now 6-0 on the season. As now the Jayhawks dropped to 5-1. This wasn't a remarkable game. I will say that right now, from start to finish. This game had the hype of a playoff. It started with a hot team trying to make this team look like they're frauds. In reality, they held in there. They competed as much as they could. They got the lead at one point. They took the lead right back. It was back and forth, this game. That's what I liked about this game. This game was fun. It was entertaining. And I loved every minute of it. I really did. I'll give you the other scores. Mississippi State, 23rd ranked, beat Arkansas 40-17. 24th ranked Cincinnati beat South Florida 28-24. Georgia destroyed the Auburn Tigers, the number 2 ranked Georgia Bulldogs to be exact, 42-10. Oklahoma State getting the win over Texas Tech 41-31. 7th ranked Oklahoma State to be exact. 18th ranked UCLA beating 11th ranked Utah 42-32. 9th ranked Ole Miss beating Vanderbilt 52-28. Arizona State getting the win against 21st ranked Washington 45-38. USC beating Washington State 30-14, 6th ranked to be exact for them. South Carolina went into 13th ranked Kentucky and beat the Wildcats 24-14. 15th ranked Wake Forest beat Army 45-10. 20th ranked Kansas State beating Iowa State 10-9. Alabama barely surviving Texas A&M with a last-second throw there by King with an incomplete pass. They were trying to, it should have been called for a running play. Milroe, who was in the game for Bryce Young, because Young did not play in the game, was 12 for 19 for 111 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Gibbs was on 21 carries for 154 yards. Oregon, 12th ranked Oregon beat Arizona 49-22. And 14th ranked North Carolina State beating Florida State 19-17 in this case. Here now going forward. I think the rankings were released today, and I will have the top 25 for you right now. Georgia reclaimed number 1 with this win. Ohio State got number 2. Alabama got number 3. Clemson is now at number 4. Michigan's ranked 5th. Tennessee's ranked 6th. USC's ranked 7th. Oklahoma State ranked 8th. Ole Miss stays at 9. Penn State is now at 10. Excuse me. UCLA ranked 11th after beating Utah. Oregon's still staying at number 12. TCU's 13th ranked. Wake Forest is 14th ranked. North Carolina State 15th ranked. Mississippi State 16th ranked. Kansas State ranked at 17. Syracuse ranked at 18. Kansas is at 19th. They did not move. Thank God for them. I really did not want them to be out of the top 25. I wanted them to stay in it. Utah's now ranked 20th. Cincinnati's now ranked 21st. University of Kentucky ranked at 22nd. Texas, by the way, who was ranked 23rd, I didn't even know this going into this week. I thought they were not ranked at all. Apparently, they were the unranked unknown. They're now still 20th. I think they're now officially 23rd. I think they came in last week not ranked. And they had a 49-0 shutout against Oklahoma, by the way. Largest shutout, most points scored for a team. I think most points won in a game by a team in franchise history. And the first shutout in the Red River shootout since 1998, back in November 7th. 25 years, or 24 years to make it to be exact. Illinois, 24th ranked, and James Madison. I think this might be the first time ever James Madison was in the AP poll. This may be a long time since they've been in the AP poll. I can't remember, but they are now 25th. This top 25 did kind of surprise me. I'll admit that. I was surprised to hear that Kansas didn't drop out of the ranking. I thought, at my point, they would never appreciate the effort that Kansas put in that game, which I'm telling you right now, with that quarterback Jason being the most unknown guy, because I wasn't even a starter at the beginning of the year, for him to come out there and compete and hang in there with TCU in a back and forth battle, this is why I'm putting this college football game of the year. I'm sorry. I don't think any game's going to top this. I really don't. I mean, there's been some games this year that I looked at and said, I don't know if this will be game of the year. This game between Kansas and TCU in the Big 12, where everyone would be thinking, oh, it's Texas, Oklahoma, Baylor maybe, or Oklahoma State. No, it was TCU, the most afterthought Big 12 team, who's now 6-0, who might as well lead their conference, goes into Kansas, spoils the celebration, spoils the party, spoils that any chance right now Kansas will go right now undefeated, and they go in there and they make a statement saying that, hey, what about us? That's what happened. Now, granted, TCU was favored in that game, but it didn't seem like it the way they played. They played like their lives depended on that. Kansas played like they were freely and losing. They were having fun with it. TCU was all business. So that's what I liked about this game. That's what I liked about this game in general. This was a fun game to watch, and I'm glad it happened. And now let's get into the games for Saturday. I'm actually going to give you my picks right now. I wasn't even planning on doing this, but what the hell? I'm probably not going to be able to do the show in the morning on Saturday anyway. So here it is for you. We got the Saturday lineup looking like this right now. Penn State, 10th ranked, taking on 5th ranked Michigan. Iowa State at 22nd ranked Texas, or 23rd ranked Texas. Number 4, Clemson going into Florida State. Auburn at 9th ranked Ole Miss. 19th ranked Kansas playing at Oklahoma. Minnesota playing at 24th ranked Illinois. Vanderbilt at number 1 Georgia. 3rd ranked Alabama taking on 6th ranked Tennessee. 8th ranked Oklahoma State taking on 13th ranked TCU. 15th ranked North Carolina State taking on 18th ranked Syracuse. 25th ranked James Madison taking on Georgia Southern. Mississippi State 16th ranked taking on 22nd ranked Kentucky. And 7th ranked USC taking on 20th ranked Utah. This is all within the top 25. I'll give my predictions right now for these games right now. And I just think this will be the key in this whole thing. I think Michigan beats Penn State. I think Penn State at this point, they've had their rally. They had a little fun. They had a big statement win in Auburn. They're not going to have 2 big statement wins in Auburn and in Ann Arbor. They're just not going to do it. I got Michigan winning that one. I got Texas over Iowa State. I think Texas will be too much. I think Quentin Ewers is back. I think Xavier Worthy is back. I think that combo is great. I think Texas is a great team. They should be 5-1. And really, they're 4-2. They had a huge statement win over Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a completely waste of a team. So they took care of them. I think Texas will take care of Iowa State. Clemson versus Florida State. Clemson's going to win all day long. Florida State at this point has got nothing to play for at this point. They could have played upset against North Carolina State. They failed to do so. And I think Clemson at this point with DJ Ugali right now, they got it figured out. I don't think they're going to lose a game this year. I really don't. I think DJ Ugali has figured out his game. He's figured out who he is. And then from there, we'll see what he does during the college football playoff. But I just think here, in this case, against Florida State and Jimbo Fisher. I'm not Jimbo Fisher. I'm sorry. I forgot the head coach's name. The coaching styles it's gonna be too much for Florida State to handle. Ole Miss is gonna beat Auburn. Auburn sucks. Oklahoma sucks, so Kansas is gonna beat them. Illinois is gonna beat Minnesota because Minnesota is the Minnesota's actually favored in this game. That's surprising. 6.5 favorite in Illinois. I think Illinois beats Minnesota. This will be a close game. I think University of Georgia beats Vanderbilt badly. I think they take all their frustrations they had at this point, being fraudulent teams, out on this team too. And I think Tennessee beats Alabama. I'm going to give you why. Hooker is one hell of a quarterback. If Bryce Young's not back and Hooker's in there dominating the game and Milroe is just throwing for like 100 yards, this team's not going to win. The only reason why they won is because Texas A&M has got no quarterback. You got a quarterback here in Tennessee. So you had an easy win. You barely won this week. You should have lost that game. But yeah, I think Alabama loses this week to Tennessee. TCU beats Oklahoma State. I think TCU's statement continues. I think Oklahoma State's a fraudulent team anyway. They're not going to make the college football playoff. They never do. Every time they go undefeated, they have one loss anyway. They never make it. I think this is TCU's chance of proving everybody wrong. I think it is. I think Syracuse upsets North Carolina State. Even though Syracuse is favored in this one here, I think North Carolina State right now, their fun is over. Syracuse is a real deal. Syracuse is a real contending team, and they make statements. I think James Madison beats Georgia Southern. I think Mississippi State beats Kentucky. I was going to go with Kentucky here, but I thought to myself, you know what? They haven't really been looking convincing at home right now at this point against South Carolina, of all teams to lose to. I think Mississippi State's a more tougher opponent at this point for them to handle. They had a hard time against Ole Miss. I think Mississippi State is just similar in Ole Miss when it comes to their game planning. I think it'll be an easy win for them in Kentucky. And I think USC beats Utah. I really do. The more I thought about it, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to bet against USC here because USC is a tough team. They are one scary team with Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley. That is a good combination right there. It's complete, revamped this whole team. Utah, I think, look, they lost last week to UCLA. Their rally's over, okay? Their chances are over at this point, and making any type of big bowl game in general. I'm just saying. A lot of people have in the Rose Bowl this year against Florida or against Ohio State this year. I just don't see that happening. USC might be a contender for the Rose Bowl, though. They may as well be. So those are my picks for this Saturday coming up. I give you the rankings. Now, I don't know what the hell's going on with this freaking phone lately. Let me give you these NFL games that were on yesterday. My picks were actually pretty good, pretty successful. The only pick I had wrong was the Giants-Packers game. The Ravens-Bengals game I was wrong about. The Saints-Seahawks game I was wrong about. The Dolphins-Jet game, which I'll get into that one in just a second. And the Texans-Jaguar game I was wrong about. The rest of them I was right. So there you go. There's that. This was I might as well start off with the Giants-Packers. This was a game right now that was worth the watch here. Giants defense coming out big here in this one. First quarter, Rodgers and Allen Lazard from 4 yards out, making it 10-0. Packers had an early possession when they had a field goal. Gano gets a field goal of his own for 48 yards before the end of the first quarter there. Second quarter, again in the red zone one more time, Aaron Rodgers and Mercedes Lewis for his first catch of the year, his first touchdown of the year, 17-3 Packers. Later on, Daniel Jones gets a little trick play right now to Saquon Barkley and the tight end Daniel Bellinger. Yes, tight end Daniel Bellinger gets a 2-yard run for a touchdown. It's now 17-10. Crosby gets a field goal before the end of the half. It's now 20-10. Third quarter, Graham Gano kicking a field goal, making it for 37 yards out, 20-13. Gary Brightwell getting in on the run here right now. He gets into the end zone there. It's 20-20. Saquon Barkley gets the Wildcat snap here. Gets in the end zone, 27-20. They outscore the Packers in this one, 17-0 by this point. Last chance for Rodgers at this point was one deflection right there. That gets away from hits over Thibodeau's arm there. Then deflected again in the end there. I think it was by Williams or Lawrence right there or whoever it was. Got the deflection there. Game is over. Packers get the safety towards late in the game. Rodgers trying to throw the Hail Mary, though. He gets strip sacked from behind, and that is the end of the game. Packers losing to the Giants in London, 27-22. Ryan Dable gets all fired up as the Giants get the win and now improve to 4-1 while the Packers drop to 3-2. This was surprising. I got to be honest right now. I didn't expect the Giants to go in there and dominate the way they did. I really thought realistically they were dead in the water by the start point right now when they were already down 3-0. There were some possessions there where I look back on it and I go, that's unfortunate. There was a good field position by Green Bay at that point. They were at their own 40-yard line on the second possession, on the third possession actually. Rodgers threw one for 22 yards for Dupes at that point. And a couple of plays later, it was an incomplete pass right now. It was a pass interference call by Xavier McKinley. McKinley, I think, was the one that got the deflection in the end there. It was McKinley. Now that the more I think about it now. Rodgers got threw a 4-yard pass to Lazard at that point. Perfect laser shot. Packers got another touchdown drive ahead of them right now at this point. This really came off of Rodgers throwing 8 yards to Jones. And then he threw one for 12 yards for Degura. And then he had another one for Degura for 7 yards, 9 yards to Jones. A few plays away after that one. 5 yards to Lazard. It was just all the way around, the passing the ball around here right now. Christian Watson, I think, got injured in the play. Christian Watson, I will say this right now, is like is now the next Amari Rodgers at this point. Like he's not worth a damn on his offense. He's just not. As sad as it is, it's not really about him at this point on this team. Like I watched his performances so far in half these games, and it's like the only reason they have him in there is to make him feel like he's special and not make him feel like he's Amari Rodgers. But he's exactly what he's Amari Rodgers 2.0, a complete afterthought on his Packer roster, never going to get on the football field. And if he does get on the football field, it's at Rodgers' request. That's it. If Rodgers likes the way you're practicing the field, then you're going to be a part of something right now. That's it. Just be a part of something. That's it. Because Amari Rodgers can't get open in practice, I guess. And he's not that good as a player. I mean, he's a special teams guy. That's all he is. And he's not even good at that. So there you go. The Giants, though, their touchdown drive, consecutive Daniel Jones getting sacked. It didn't matter, though, because he scrambled for 3 yards. And Saquon Barkley ran it for 40 yards. Saquon Barkley on the biggest 40-yard run drive right there. That just set up the drive right there going forward. Set up the 10-yard pass to Slayton right after that. The 1-yard play to James, which didn't do anything. Then a 15-yard play to James for the first down. They needed 13. They got 15 there. A few plays later, Slayton gets another 10-yard reception there. Barkley gets a 3-yard run, and then that set up the Wildcat, which was basically – it wasn't even a Wildcat. It was just Jones on the handoff there, trickery right there that allowed the tight end to run in for 2 yards easily. The Giants, the Packers defense right now is all over the place. They are. They are all over the place here. This was right here. This was a change of the guard right here. They could have gotten a lead right here with a 24-10 lead. I think the touchdown would have changed the game completely around here. This play right here screwed it all up right now. Rodgers short pass to Robert Tonyan. He couldn't get anything out of that one. He even lost a yard there. A few plays before that, though, he did throw for 20 yards to Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb was great in this game, mainly in the first half. This touchdown drive kind of set things up right now for the Giants, though. This 15-play, 91-yard, 8-minute drive for the Giants. I mean, it really came down to Jones throwing into 11 yards for Bellinger, him scrambling. It's really about him passing the short passes and throwing it on the right dime here. He was great in this game, Daniel Jones. Threw for 7 yards there. Threw a 16-yard pass play to Johnson there. Threw one for 5 yards to Stills right now. Stills with tiptoes in there, got the first and goal. That's the Gurry Brightwell touchdown run there. At the end of the day, when it really came down to it, this was all about the Giants right now. The bad punt by the Packers in the end there, it set things up right there at that point. A 41-yard play from Saquon Barkley. This was great. This was perfect right there for Saquon Barkley. That nice throw there. That set up the touchdown run there. Jones ran for 4 yards there. The unnecessary roughness call against Razoo Douglas there, slamming somebody down unnecessarily. That set up the play right there. And Xavier Alexander called out the Packers right now, saying right now their defense needs to get better right now, otherwise they're going to lose to the Jets. They don't believe it. He doesn't believe that the Jets are going to lose to them. He thinks they're going to lose to them. And I guess Aaron Rodgers did not take too kindly to that one, so he called out that. But I think this is what I believe. This is what I believe right now about the Giants. I think they're a real football team. They're a real contending team. I think their defense completely disrupted Rodgers' timing, and he completely disrupted Rodgers' wide receivers to getting open here. This Giant defense swarmed Rodgers. They swarmed the Packers wide receivers in this game. It was not an easy game for Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers in this game almost didn't even throw for 200 yards. That's what gets me. So Rodgers in the game, Daniel Jones in the game, by the way, 21 for 27. Great game for Daniel Jones, by the way. 217 yards. Not such great passing yard numbers, but great game as far as completions and attempts go. He was great in this game. Rodgers in this game was 25 for 39, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Cobb in the game was 7 catches for 99 yards. Lazard had 4 catches for 35 yards. Dukes had 3 catches for 29 yards. Tony had 4 catches for 23 yards in the game. Jones rushed for 63 yards on 13 carries, and A.J. Dillon had 6 carries for 34 yards. Watson only had 1 rushing play for -3 yards. He's in the doghouse as far as I'm concerned right now with Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry, but he is. I mean, there's no other way of looking at it. He got hurt with a hammy, I think, during the game, and he was out for the game. So we'll see what he feels like next week against the Jets, but I just think it's over with and done with. The only highlight in this game here, I'm going to get breezed to these couple of games right here, Steelers-Bills. This was a game where the Bills just completely embarrassed the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, this got to a point where it started out with a 98-yard touchdown pass to Gabriel Davis. Think about that one for a minute. The kickoff was muffed by Tavion Johnson. He fumbled it. And then they're pinned back at their own 1-yard line, which I thought that was bad news there enough. But I thought to myself, they'll get a 98-yard touchdown pass right there. Sure enough, Gabe Davis wide open over the Pittsburgh secondary. Josh Allen made it look easy. 7-0 Bills. Okay, Boswell gets a field goal on the next possession there for the Steelers. I think it was actually no, it was a muff missed possession there. Buffalo missed a field goal there. Then Pittsburgh got a field goal. Then Buffalo got a field goal in this game. This was a game where Josh Allen was just on fire. I'm just going to show you just go through the Josh Allen highlights there. Though another pass that's Gabriel Davis for 62 yards there, made 17-3. Then Diggs got in on the action, made a 15-yard pass there, 24-3. Shakir gets in again, 31-3. Then James Cook again, 24-yard run. Kenny Pickett in the game got in a fight with Jordan Phillips. He went low there. He did throw some punches in there. He was calling out the entire Steeler organization after the game. And Von Miller called out Kenny Pickett. This was a warfare at this point. I think we're definitely going to see a rematch of this. Probably not this year, but next year. Probably in Pittsburgh. Pickett went for 34 for 52 in this game, 327 yards and a pick. Josh Allen, 385 yards in the first half, 424 yards in the entire game. 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. They had 552 yards total on offensive side here. Allen led in carries for 5 carries for 42 yards. Gabe Davis led in catches, 3 catches for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. This was embarrassing as far as I'm concerned right now for Mike Tomlin coach team. Embarrassing. Stephon Diggs had 8 catches for 102 yards there and a touchdown. Shakir had 3 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown. But Davis was the star of this game. I hate to say it. No one could cover him in this game, and especially that last touchdown there when Minka Fitzpatrick was trying to intercept the ball, and Davis just ripped the ball out of him and made Fitzpatrick do a little flip there in the end there. Mike, that's where I said to myself, this game is over. I mean, they can't even do a simple interception. I mean, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out for the life of me. It just, I just think to myself, like, that was crazy. That was a crazy game. Patriots shut out the Lions 29-0. All you need to know about this game was that Jared Goff in this game could not get comfortable. He got sacked twice in the game. All in all, the Patriots opened the game up with 2 field goals. Now Duggar had a 59-yard fumble recovery return for a touchdown there for 59 yards out. Jack Jones got the interception. Folk had a couple more field goals, and Myers got the lone 24-yard touchdown pass from Bailey Zapp. Zapp was 17 for 21 for 188 yards and a touchdown and a pick. Jared Goff was 19 for 35 with 229 yards and a pick. This game all the way around, this was a garbage time that Goff got those yards, by the way. But this was a game where the Patriots defense dominated. Judon got the 2 sacks, the only lone 2 sacks in the game. They shut down the run. The Lions went for it on 4th down, could not get it. They were 0 for 6. The most attempts failed in a football game, in the NFL football game in NFL history, where the Lions went 0 for 6 and couldn't get 1 4th down. They even tried to go for a 4th and 9, where that's what led to the Judon strip sack fumble, which was recovered by Duggar, and Duggar took it back. So at the end of the day here, in reality, when it really comes down to it, the Patriots defense made a difference. Bailey Zappi played good. Is it good enough to take the job away from Mac Jones? The answer to that is no. I think that realistically, he played conservative. That's all he needed to do. The Lions weren't going to do anything anyway. They were shut down in this game. They were in the red zone. They could not do anything in the red zone. They didn't even attempt a field goal in this game. That's how much this game, I mean, unless I missed something right now, and they did attempt a field goal, which I think, by the way, they did. And actually, no, they didn't. They didn't even attempt 1 field goal in this game. They tried to go for it on 4th down every time. They had to at that point. There was no point in going for a field goal at this point. Although, at this point, if you just want to get on the board and not get shut out, kick a field goal. It's not hard to do. Anyway. Sorry, probably just right now. My nose is starting to run here. But this Patriot defense in this game completely smashed the Lions in the mouth. And this Lions team going into it right now was scoring 35 points per game. And they got 438 yards total, on offense. They allowed 450 yards down the field. Here's my takeaway in this whole thing. They're still the same Detroit Lions. There's no other way of looking at it. They're the same Lions. Everyone was looking at them in Hard Knocks saying, oh, they've changed. They've got attitude now. No, they got characters on that team. They got characters for coaching. They got characters for players. They're saying this. They're the same Lions as we always know they were for the last 60 years. completely and utterly useless football team that we beat on every week. That's what we have for an NFL team right now at this point. And I think, honestly, the Lions are garbage. Jared Goff sucks. That's it, period. End of story. Jared Goff is terrible. There's no other way of looking at it. He is in there. He is a sacrificial lamb for this Lions team because everybody knows this Lions team sucks. I don't know how this team scored 35 points per game with this quarterback. I can't figure it out for the life of me unless the defense they were going up against was so terrible they couldn't stop him. But the Vikings have put their best effort up and held them to 24 points. I'll give them that. But I think the other games are just ridiculous at this point. They scored 45 on the Seahawks. They scored 35 on the Eagles. They scored 24 on the Vikings. They couldn't do crap here against us. And our defense really wasn't thought of as like a top scary defense. And now at this point, I don't even know who we are because the Lions are just that terrible. They stink. And honestly, this year, I wouldn't be surprised this year if they only had 3 or 4 wins this year and fired Dan Campbell at the end of the year. Dan Campbell, who's not even a good head coach, he's a clown. He's a bum. The guy basically is never taken seriously by any NFL franchise at all whatsoever when it comes to coaching. The guy was only hired because they didn't want to pay anybody else who can even coach. This guy can't coach. He's just a clown for their amusement. The Fords that own this team, they don't even give a crap about this team. They should just sell the team now, but they're never going to. So every year you hear on Detroit radio stations, you hear, oh, the Fords are a terrible organization. They make the Lions into a joke. They should sell the franchise. They're never going to do it. It's too good for them. They love the satisfaction of being VIPs to a really wretched NFL team that somehow made it onto Hard Knocks. Think about that. The Detroit Lions, a completely useless garbage franchise who everybody loves. Okay, I'd rather be them right now than the Sacramento Kings or the Buffalo Sabres or, who's another awful team? The Phoenix Coyotes. They're never going to go anywhere. They're the Detroit Lions of hockey. That's what the Phoenix Coyotes are right now. That's what they turn into. That's what the Phoenix Suns were at one point. Sorry, I had to blow my nose again. My goodness. Anyway, so here's my opinion. The Lions are going to be a useless football team. They should get it over with now and fire Dan Campbell. This was a game where Dan Campbell should have been fired. This was a team that stopped trying for Dan Campbell, that stopped trying for the Fords. They didn't care. It's like, what's the point of trying and scoring all these points if we ain't winning? Think about it. Dan Campbell went in there and looked like a fool in front of Bill Belichick, Matt Patricia, who formerly coached for the Lions, and Joe Judge, who got fired from his first tenure as head coach for the Giants because he did not want to stay there. He purposely got himself fired. And they're all chuckling up away, as they always do. And it was just laughable at that point. Just laughable. So the Lions, in my opinion, are a complete waste of a franchise. They're not going to get any better. They're a pathetic team. Anyway, I just think to myself that Lions team is pathetic. Falcons, Buccaneers. This was a game where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were up 21-0 and almost lost a 21-0 lead to a crappy Falcon team. That's all I'm going to say. Brady went off in this game. He did throw for 351 yards. He had one touchdown in the game. The one low touchdown went to Leonard Fournette, who also rushed for one as well. Leonard Fournette led for most of the plays today. Fournette had 10 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. He also had 14 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. Evans had 4 catches for 81 yards, and Goddard had 6 catches for 61 yards. That's what's important. Okay? Marcus Mariota had 14 for 25, 147 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no pick. The fact that they didn't force this guy to fumble or make him throw an interception, this guy played like he was okay. Where the first 3 or 4 games, he was meh. He was not decent. He was terrible. In fact, the week before, the Cleveland Browns made him only throw 7 completed passes out of 19 attempts. And like 2 or 3 interceptions. And you can't force an interception here? I'm sorry, but I don't get it. And this game would have been 28-15 had they converted the other touchdown drive. I'll get right to this drive here. So they get a 6-yard run here by Leonard Fournette, then a 3-yard run by Fournette. And then Brady throws a deep pass to Godwin for 20 yards at the Atlanta 48. Then throws 11 yards to Leonard Fournette. And then Fournette gets a 2-yard run. Okay, fine. Brady gets a 5-yard pass to Godwin. Now they got converted on 3rd and 3. He throws one again to Godwin for 6 yards. Then throws it for 7 yards to Rachaad White, the guy who fumbled last week against the Chiefs on the opening possession. He throws a bad pass to Russell Gage. Then throws a pass down the middle to Oten for 2 yards. He didn't have to do much in this game. And then Fournette couldn't get the 4th down run right there. He came up short there. Couldn't get anything going there. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was on a 2-yard pass play. Then they tried going on 4th down. That's where the 4th down play came into play here. Fournette couldn't get in there, and that was it. Falcons had a punt. Not much to say there about the Falcons in this game. I'll get to them later on their drive. Next drive for Brady. Brady throws a 7-yard pass to Oten again. 7 yards run by White. A 9-yard passing play to Rachaad White. They went no huddle. Brady threw an incomplete pass. And Brady threw another, ran out the middle for Rachaad White for 4 yards there. Brady no huddle again. Throws it for 5 yards for Leonard Fournette. 12 yards to Oten. Incomplete pass to Scotty Miller. Hayward was injured on the play. I don't know exactly what he injured in the play there, but he got injured. Brady threw a short pass to Leonard Fournette again for 7 yards. And then out of nowhere, Brady throws his deep pass to Mike Evans for 25 yards at the 11, 12-yard line. Great. Fournette runs it, lost 2 yards there. There's a holding call against Keffett. That drove him back 10 yards. Then Brady threw a pass to Scotty Miller for 12 yards. Got to Godwin down at the 1 for 9 yards there. Then Fournette ran it in for a touchdown there. 13 plays, 88 yards, 5 minutes, 21 seconds was that drive. Okay. Falcons had a punt again. Then Buccaneers got a field goal. And the Bucs got another field before the end of the half, made it 13-0. The lone touchdown drive here, I'll get to this one right here because it's at least this first touchdown the first touchdown thrown for Brady in the game. I'll go down a few plays into this one right now. So they convert on a 3rd and 8, 10 yards to Fournette. 9 yards again to Fournette, was pushed out of bounds. Then Brady threw an incomplete pass there to Mike Evans, trying to throw it deep left to Evans, couldn't hook up with him. White ran it in for 1 yard, got the first down. Then Owen got a 3-yard play from Brady. Then Brady throws another pass to Scotty Miller for 6 yards there. White gets the 2-yard run, gets the first down. Then Brady throws a 40-yard pass to Mike Evans, was pushed out at the 1. They were trying to see whether or not he was getting a touchdown right there. They ruled him out of bounds at the 1. The challenge was upheld. And then Brady threw it to Leonard Fournette for 1 yard there, made it 21-0. Okay. Now I'm going to fast forward through this because the Falcons scored a touchdown here. I'll get to the touchdown driver. He got an 8-yard run from Avery Williams there for a touchdown, made it 21-7. After a series of punts, and the Falcons driving it down the field, Marcus Mariota had passed to Orlando Zajusis. I think I'm botching that last name. I don't really give a crap. It's a 19-yard play there. 2-point conversion is good. And this is where it gets interesting here. Because Brady is driving to this point. It's on a 3rd down play. He gets sacked by Grady Jarrett. Oh, so we thought he did. Flag comes out. Ruled a personal foul roughing the passer. Probably the worst personal foul roughing the passer. And I mentioned before in the beginning of the podcast here. It was like wrapping this guy up in bubble wrap and laying him down on the ground. That's how soft that sack was. That pissed me off to no end. Now, I wanted the Bucs to win. Don't get me wrong. I wanted the Bucs to win this game. The Bucs in this game overall did not play. I mean, they played great. You know, Brady had a great first half, but at what cost? They could have won this game 28-15. They had a horrible 4th down call early in the first half. This right here with a sack was ridiculous. You allow 15 points in the 4th quarter against a useless Falcon team that really shouldn't even be 2-3. They should have lost to Seattle. They should have lost to Cleveland. This team should really be 0-5. But we fell into a trap game here with this team. It's basically what we did. Sorry to say it, but it's true. Anyway, so they win the game here. The game's over, 21-15. The personal foul. The Falcons coaching staff is high rate. They're losing their minds. And to this I say, this was the worst personal foul call of all time. I know why they did it, because they wanted to protect Brady here and his whole thing. They didn't want like a big old lawsuit now because there were a big investigation against the NFL now because of the whole Tua situation. I get it, because Tua got concussed twice and he shouldn't even play in that game. He shouldn't even been cleared to play. They had to fire a union guy to work for the NFL, not even a team doctor, who, by the way, did a better evaluation than the NFLPA union guy did. What does that tell you? The NFL screwed up with the wrong people and try to pin it on the Miami Dolphins like they always do. They try to pin it on the NFL teams because they can. Because no one wants to get blamed for anything. They don't want to take responsibility for this. This right here, there's no excuse. And Jerome Boger, I'm going to call him Booger. In this case here, you're one of the worst referees right now in the NFL. Your crew's terrible. You make constant mistakes every week. You miss calls. And when Brady got hit 7 times late in this game, didn't get flagged once. Was that flag just to make up the fact right now that you didn't give Brady the calls? I don't get it. This was a horrible game as far as I'm concerned, officiating in this game. Horrible. This was the worst call of the season, in my opinion. And I think this is going to be a continuing trend in the NFL because the referees have no idea how to call this level type of football. Should he be wrapped down? Should he be slammed down? Does it matter here? Do we care? Should we care? Are you going to give us a race? That's how the NFL officials are going to treat this. They don't care about player safety. All they care about is having the commissioner not yell in their freaking ear on their earpiece. Because I'm convinced that's why he's either not at these games or the NFLPA is communicating back in New York, saying, hey, make this call, or hey, do this. And now at this point, I mean, it was the worst. This should have right here been a punt for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Falcons would have ran it right down their throats, and Marcus Mariota would have passed one deep ball play that would allow Dan to get wide open again, like he did in that touchdown drive, and that would have been the end of it. Atlanta would have won the game. Because Tampa Bay overall didn't take Atlanta seriously. They never did. And they should have taken this team more seriously. Instead, they didn't. One thing to know after the game, Deion Jones was traded from the Falcons to the Browns. The linebacker for the Pro Bowl linebacker for the Falcons is now a Cleveland Brown. So that happened. So the Falcons did lose this game. This was a terrible officiating game in the end there. The penalties in this game that were called were just god-awful. They were terrible. I don't know, at one point they just felt bad for Tampa Bay and they just wanted to give them the win. They didn't want to give Brady 3 losses in a row at home or what. But it was terrible officiating this game. It was not good. Watching this game back, because I couldn't get the game live at first. I had to rewatch the highlights back. But it was a badly poor game. It was. Chargers Browns in Cleveland. This was a coaching gamble situation. This game started out with a Nick Chubb 41-yard run for a touchdown, gave the Browns a 7-0 lead. Later on, Cooper gets an 11-yard touchdown pass from Jacoby Brissett, made it 14-0. Second quarter, the Chargers it was 14-3. Now it's 14-10. Joshua Kelly from 5 yards out runs it in. Later on, Austin Eckler gets a 12-yard pass from Justin Herbert. Right now, makes it 17-14. Nick Chubb gets a 2-yard run, makes it 21-17. Austin Eckler runs it away with it again. Why not? 22 yards out, makes it 24-21. Late in the game right now is Browns trying to get in right now with Kareem Hunter again, makes it 28-27. And then right here, this was the difference maker right here. 27-yard field goal with about 9:29 to go, made it 30-28. There were some points in the game where Browns tried to go for it in the third quarter. Could not get the drive to go their way. They went a 3-and-out there. They couldn't get the drive. That's what led to the Chargers field goal in the third. Right here on fourth down, this is where it gets interesting here. So Austin Eckler gets a 2-yard run. He comes up short. It's 4th and 1. This is after Herbert had a 7-yard pass play before that to Mike Williams and a 19-yard play from Mike Williams in this game as well. Mike Williams was good in this game. Could not get the 4th down conversion. It was stuffed. Justin Herbert was trying to throw it to Mike Williams again. Emerson on the deflection. This was right here. This would turn it around right here. This field goal right here from 54 yards, wide right, no good. Cade York misses it. Chargers get the win, 30-28. The luckiest win for the LA Chargers in this game. The luckiest win of the year. This was not pretty by any means necessary. You could have argued it was going to be game of the year if the Seahawks Saints game was disappointing, and if the Chargers or the Chiefs Raiders game would have been disappointing. But like I mentioned before, the Chiefs had the football game of the year last night. Sunday, the Chargers and Browns would have had game of the year. It did come up short. So did the Saints and Seahawks game. I will say that. I'll actually get right into that game in just a moment. But first, Bears Vikings. Cousins had a great start. He started out 16 for 6. Actually, yeah. Before I even get to that game, let me read out the stats for the Chargers Browns game. Herbert was 22 for 34, 228 yards and 1 touchdown there. No interceptions. Brissett was 21 for 34, 230 yards, a touchdown and a pick for the Browns. Chubb had 134 yards rushing. Eckler had 173 yards rushing. This was a battle of the running backs in this game. This is what this game turned out to be because nobody could throw on offense. So it really came down to Austin Eckler and Chubb, who was going to show up in this game and provide some offensive momentum here. And Eckler kind of did. Chubb kind of did too, but the Browns just failed miserably in the end. Bears Vikings, like I said before, Kirk Cousins started out 16 for 16 in the game, the most he's ever started out in a game. Justin Jefferson had 12 catches for 154 yards. Dalvin Cook had 2 touchdowns on 18 carries for 94 yards. This game was all about the Vikings in this game. 1-yard run to Cook, 5-yard run to Cook. Rager got a touchdown pass, made it 21-3. Jalen Mooney had a one-handed Darnell Mooney had a one-handed grab. That set up a 9-yard run for David Montgomery for the Bears at 21-10. Third quarter, Velus Jones Jr. gets a 9-yard touchdown pass from Justin Fields. They failed a 2-point conversion. It's now 21-16. After a field goal, the Bears kick a field goal of their own, 51 yards, back-to-back field goals. Bears take the lead 22-21. That sets up right here for Kirk Cousins' big drive here in the fourth. Was it Kirk's moment here? It was. It was a great game there. Nice 17-play drive. Started out with Kirk Cousins throwing a 15-yard pass to Irv Smith after a false start penalty. A 5-yard run for Cook. A 4-yard pass to Dalvin Cook. Madison runs it over there for 2 yards there. Lost 4 yards in the next play for Madison right there. 10 yards for Kirk Cousins to Justin Jefferson. He was pushed out of bounds at the Bears 48. Cousins again throwing 13 yards for Irv Smith there for the first down. A 10-yard run for Dalvin Cook again. Dalvin Cook gets 1 yard in the run there. Cousins again to Thielen for 4 yards. Cousins scrambling for 5 there. Throws an incomplete pass. Then Kirk Cousins throws it to Madison down at the 2. And then Kirk Cousins just runs it in himself at the Bears 1. Vikings get the lead right back. It's now 29-22. Later on, Justin Fields, last chance for the Bears, 8 yards to Montgomery, 3 yards to Montgomery again. That's hits in a 2-minute warning. Montgomery runs it up the middle for 21 yards. Justin Fields throws a pass to the Minnesota 39-yard line for 15 yards. Then was fumbled by Irv Smith. Masters say recovered by Densler. That ends the game for the Bears as they fumbled it there. And the Vikings pick up the win. They're now 4-1, 29-22. Kirk Cousins in the game threw for 296 yards, completed 32 passes out of 41 throws. Fields was 208 yards in the game, 15 for 21 and a touchdown. This is probably the best game that Justin Fields has had all season. Let's just put it that way for him. The Vikings wideout core, Irv Smith had a big game, 4 catches for 42 yards. KJ Osborne had 5 catches for 41 yards. Dalvin Cook had 2 catches for 27 yards, and Thielen had 4 catches for 27 yards. Madison had 3 catches for 21 yards as well. The team overall rushing the ball, had 117 yards rushing on 31 rushing plays. Dalvin Cook led it in 94 yards. Madison had 19 yards on the ground, and Cousins had 4 yards rushing on the ground as well. So that was what made this game interesting here. The Vikings are now 4-1. They're on top right now of the NFC North. In my opinion, they are going to win the NFC North at this point. I think their offense has been perfect. I think Justin Jefferson has been phenomenal. He's hard to stop, hard to cover. No one can cover him right now in that division. Dalvin Cook is just a machine at this point. He's like an Eddie Lace at this point and a Derrick Henry mixed together at this point. just the power and the strength that Dalvin Cook has had. He's got Derrick Henry's strength, but the legs of Eddie Lacy, like a fast Eddie Lacy or a fast, or like a ground and pound, like Matt Forte type of feel. I don't know what it is. It's hard to describe, really, but it's basically like a mixture of Derrick Henry and a mixture of Eddie Lacy. Because Lacy had some legs when he ran, and he got bigger over time. And he slowed down, but Dalvin Cook gets quicker and quicker every time I watch him play football. This Viking team is good as far as I'm concerned. The defense is still concerned. Yes, it is. Granted, but Justin Fields throwing for 208 yards today, I think, was not too much for the Vikings to allow in this game. Look, the Bears saw more of Justin Fields in this game. They saw him throw the ball more. He needed to in this game to try to get back in the game. They sort of did get back in the game. If it wasn't for that long drive by the Bears defense allowing that drive to happen, I think the Bears would have won this game. You could have argued right now they probably would have never won this game here, but this was a game where it just was about protecting Justin Jefferson as much as possible here. And they sort of did that. They only got 2 sacks on him. This was probably the best game that Fields is going to play all year, other than the game that he played against the 49ers back in week 1, which they won at home in the rain. So he was able to find a way to define the odds in that weather there. Almost did here in Minnesota as well. They would have been 3-2. It's unfortunate they're now 2-3, but they're not in last place. They're not with the Detroit Lions, thank God. So that's that. Moving on, Seahawks Saints, probably the game of the day. Could potentially be in the conversation for game of the year as well. This was a competitive game. It was a good duel. Started out with a 50-yard touchdown pass from Geno Smith to DK Metcalf. Saints were already up 3-0 thanks to a 56-yard field goal by Will Lutz. Myers also kicked a 56-yard field goal for the Seahawks, made it 10-3 by the end of the first quarter. Second quarter, Taysom Hill, 8-yard run there, gets it in easily there. Hill, one more time, why not? Makes it 9 yards this time around on another red zone drive, 17-10. The first 2 drives by the Saints when this happened, because the Saints basically had a punt, had a good drive there. 10 plays on the first play there, 69 yards. This right here was set up for the failed punt attempt by the Seahawks. Right now they were trying to punt it there. Michael Dixon, for whatever reason, just ran instead of just punting it. I don't know what he was doing there. I think he was in a daze. He got confused, led to that play right there, and led to that 9-yard run by Taysom Hill there. Later on in the game, it was a 9-play, 62-yard drive for the Seahawks. Geno Smith threw for 15 yards to Will Disley, 32 yards to Noah Fant. Incomplete pass there. Scramble there. Got 13 yards out of that play. Got the first down. Kenneth Walker had 2 yards on a run. Smith incomplete pass, trying to convert on third down with a 10 for Metcalf there. Instead of a 31-yard field goal, made 17-13 for Seattle. Saints' next possession, Dalton passing a short middle to Alvin Kamara. He gets strip sacked there. Woolen on a recover, and it leads to a Seahawk touchdown drive from 3 plays out. 35-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett. Now makes it now 19-17. The Seahawks missed the extra point. Seahawks are up 19-17 at the end of the half there. This was the game of fumbles here. So Metcalf had a catch right there from Geno Smith from 8 yards out. He fumbles it back thanks to Patrick Warner. Ometa with a recovery. Saints get the ball back. Chris Olave got a 16-yard touchdown pass from Andy Dalton. Makes it 24-19. Later on, Saints throw an interception that was Andy Dalton intended to Smith. It was picked up by Woolen. Forced to fumble early and recovered it. Now he gets an interception. Seahawks weren't able to do anything with it. Led to a Saints touchdown drive, 22 yards out from Taysom Hill for 22 yards out. Also had a 60-yard run right there after Kenneth Walker, the third 69-yard run there. Takes it back to the house, makes it 32-31. Hill answered on his own with a 60-yard run of his own. 39-32. Last chance for the Seahawks. Geno Smith gets sacked in the backfield, leads to a punt. And the Saints pick up the win, 39-32. End of the Louisiana Superdome. Big win for the Saints at home this one. This was a much-needed win for the Saints, really. Must win for both teams, but the Saints walk away victorious. This was a wild game. There were bad possessions around by Seattle right now. If it wasn't for that failed punt attempt, this probably would have been a different game. Dalton had the touchdown and a pick in this game. Had 188 yards throwing there. Geno Smith had 268 yards on 3 touchdowns, no picks. This was all about the Seahawks making mistakes. They had 2 fumbles right there actually I should say 3. The punter fumbled, which that was a mistake. Tyler Lockett fumbled, and DK Metcalf fumbled. This was a game where everybody made a mistake but Geno Smith. And Kenneth Walker III made his debut here right now. Rashad Penny got injured. I think he tore his hamstring, or tore his quad. I can't remember what it was. Or it was tore his fibula. That's right. It was tore his fibula, Rashad Penny. He's done for the year. But Kenneth Walker III is a great fill-in because this guy is hard to stop, hard to take down. He had 8 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown in the game. Taysom Hill had 9 carries for 112 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Saints, along with a touchdown throw. This game all the way around was in the hands of Taysom Hill. You could argue right now he could take the job of Andy Dalton right now. Dalton at this point might as well keep the job for now at this point. He's a good, valuable backup quarterback. I don't know what the story is right now with Jameis Winston at this point, if he's been benched for the rest of the season right now, if Dennis Allen doesn't believe in him. I don't know. But the Saints getting the win here, it was a good win at home, a much-needed win to have at home because it carries their momentum over because next week they take on the Cincinnati Bengals at home. So that's good. So, I mean, if they're going to be 3-3 next week, it'll be great. If not, it is what it is. I'll give you the scores for the other games. Titans Commanders. Titans win 21-17. Another game I was wrong about. I had the Commanders beating the Titans. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Texans beat the Jaguars 13-6. This was the game of the Damon Pierce big yard runs right now from his part. 26 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence in the game, 25-47. He struggled today, 286 yards, 2 picks. Mills had 16 for 24, 140 yards. Like I said, Pierce carried the game and carried the team for that W. Trevor Lawrence could not convert, a lot of incomplete passes. Just him struggling, and he is now 0-7, I think, or 0-8 or whatever, when he has the ball late in the fourth and has to drive it down the field and could not execute. He's failing miserably at that. Jaguars now dropped to 2-3. The 49ers beat the Panthers 37-15. Emmanuel Mosley had a walk-off 41. Actually, might as well have been a walk-off at that point because the game was already over at that point. A 41-yard pick six. They made it 17-3. He tore his ACL though in the same game though. He was got taken out later on in the game. Garoppolo had a 9-yard pass from Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo had a 4-yard pass to Deebo Samuel, and Wilson and Coleman ran in for touchdowns at their own later on. 37-15. And I'll talk about Matt Rule. He got fired yesterday for this game. 49ers got the win on Sunday over at Carolina. Dolphins-Jets, the only highlight of this game that you need to know about is Teddy Bridgewater got concussed in the game, and he got knocked out. He did pass the concussion protocol testing. Unfortunately, he was ruled out for the rest of the game there, so it came down to Skylar Thompson. But the Jets, though, just started out this game hot. I mean, once that safety happened, that was it. The whole momentum changed. They got a field goal right now from Zerline, a 1-yard run from Michael Carter. Rasheed Morrison got a 12-yard run from Skylar Thompson, made it 12-7. Zach Wilson got a 5-yard run, made it 19-7. Darian Smith got a 1-yard run. And this game at that point was a runaway. Carter got a 1-yard run. Breece Hall got a 15-yard run. And Braxton Berrios got a 15-yard run, made it 40-17. The Jets pull off the upset at home against the Dolphins, 40-17. This game was a nightmare from the start. I mean, Skylar Thompson was not in this game. He was, I would say not prepared for this. Not prepared is a good word to say for it. I think Mike McDaniels should prepare this guy a little bit more just in case they had some bad luck here. He was 19 for 33, 166 yards, a pick. Zach Wilson was 14 for 21, 210 yards, no touchdowns for him. Breece Hall had 18 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown, and he had 2 catches for 100 yards. Tyreek Hill had 7 catches in the game for 47 yards, no touchdowns for him. Gillespie had 1 catch for 30 yards. Myles Gaskin had 3 catches for 24 yards. Wild had 3 catches for 23 yards. All the way around, it was really the fact that Skylar Thompson had basically targeted Tyreek Hill more times in this game. He targeted Myles Gaskin and Gillespie more times in this game. And they really ran the ball too much. I think that's what really what it came down to it there, is that they ran the ball too much in this game, and they tried to get everybody else involved. And I think The problem was they had more running plays for Morset than they had for Gaskin, I think, which, don't get me wrong, we have a guy for 18 carries for 113 yards and a touchdown isn't a bad thing to have, but they should spread the ball out more if that's the case. Have more running plays for Tyreek. Have more plays for Chase Edmonds. And I don't know, Myles Gaskin, your star running back on your team. So, I mean, I don't know. To me, that was a mistake. Let's move forward to the Cowboys and the Rams. I'm skipping right over the other games right now because I already gave you the conclusion to most of those other games right now. But the one note here about the Washington Commanders game is Carson Wentz didn't throw for 359 yards. He threw the interception late in the game. They were up 17. They were up. They were down 21-17 at the Derrick Henry's 1-yard run. Damian Brown was the star of the game. He had 2 catches for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns, a 75-yarder and a 30-yarder from Wentz. Wentz, I will say this though, Wentz is pretty good. The problem with that team is that they just have a horrible coaching staff for Wentz. That's the problem here. I don't even put this on Wentz. I put this on the coaching staff for Washington. So who knows? Ron Rivera might be is definitely on the hot seat right now. That is for sure. Anyway, so as I was saying before I got into the Cowboys-Rams game, I'm going to get right back into it here. Cowboys and Rams. This game started out with DeMarcus Lawrence getting the strip sack fumble, returning for 19 yards, made 6-0. They failed the extra point there. It was off of Brett Anger, the holder for the kicker. Later on, Cooper Kupp, 75-yard touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford. He came in pretty easily right now. Draymond Diggs got to try to tackle him, could not do it. Later on, Tony Pollard, 57 yards, broke at least 5 or 6 tackles. One of the defenders trying to get him. He said, "Get off me." And he ran it in for a touchdown, 16-10. Brett Moore got a field goal there. It was 22-10 at that point. Matthew Stafford, last chance. Micah Parsons gets a sack in the backfield with another strip sack there. The Cowboys get the win, 22-10. They play the Philadelphia Eagles next week in Philly. And LA plays at home again against the Carolina Panthers. Rams dropped to 2-3. The Cowboys are now 4-1. Aaron Donald did get 2 sacks in the game, but it did not really matter in this game. Cooper Rush was 10 for 16, 102 yards. Matthew Stafford was 28 for 42 for 308 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Pollard had 8 carries for 86 yards for a touchdown. Cam Akers was held to 33 yards rushing on 13 carries. Cooper Kupp had 7 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb had 5 catches for 53 yards in the game overall. This was all about the Dallas defense. I'm sorry. It was all about that offensive line for LA Rams not protecting Matthew Stafford again in this game. This was a nightmare game for him. He got sacked 5 times in the game. They could not get anything going in the passing game, really, other than Cooper Kupp with that big passing play, which is why he had that point. Stafford was strip sacked twice, once by Micah Parsons and the other time by DeMarcus Lawrence. This game, all in all, was a terrible game for both teams here. Donald couldn't do anything this game. He had 2 sacks in the game, 1 tackle for a loss. That was it. Got the quarterback a couple of times. Bobby Wagner had 1 quarterback hit in the game. He had 3 solo tackles right now and got help with like 3 or 4 or 5 of the tackles there. What it really came down to was that Wagner and Donald played a little bit better than normal. That was it. Maybe Donald had less time. I mean, I don't know. But the Cowboys offensive line just had a better time protecting Cooper Rush than the Rams did with Matthew Stafford. So, I mean, it was really a battle of the offensive lines in this game, and the Rams just failed miserably. They just could not protect Matthew Stafford and save their life. This is almost like watching Joe Burrow last year struggle with his offensive line all season long because their offensive line was so terrible. And Burrow was sacked so many times in that season. And even in the Super Bowl, even in the playoff game, where he allowed 9 sacks, the Bengals offensive line did against the Titans. And this case here, 5 sacks against the Dallas Cowboys, 7 sacks back in week 1 against the Buffalo Bills, all of them at home. And my takeaway after watching this game, the LA Rams fans just don't care. And my takeaway on this, and maybe I'm going like way off target with this, but I remember when the LA Rams were in Los Angeles back in the 80s and 90s. They probably didn't like the fact that they moved out from St. Louis. They probably didn't forgive them. And then when they decided to come back, it was already too late. Like they weren't accepting that football team being in Los Angeles. So my theory is even if they won the Super Bowl, it didn't matter because it's already too late. Like, you know, stay in Los Angeles and maybe we'll accept you. But I mean, in reality, LA's moved on from football. That's the way I see it. The LA Chargers fan base, I think at this point, is a little bit better than the Rams fan base. But this Rams fan base absolutely is terrible. I mean, it's almost bad as watching the Los Angeles Lakers or New York Knicks games now at this point. They don't even care if a team wins. They just go there just to find an excuse to get out of the house. I mean, if this is what the LA sports fan base is going to be like, then why even bother? Why even bother even doing this? You know? So that's my takeaway on this whole thing. I don't know what anybody else's takeaway in the whole thing of it is, but if that's how you got to treat your if this is how you're going to treat your sport teams at this point, like you're just like a convention to find an excuse to get out of the house, then it's not Comic-Con. Okay? This is sports. This is the NFL. It's not Comic-Con. It's not where you go hang out, talk to celebrities, try to get their autograph, wait in line. No, in reality, you're at a football game. It's a sporting event. It's an event. Okay, and I think in reality, your team's trying to put out a great product for you, and you just don't care. Hell, there were more Dallas Cowboy fans in those stands on Sunday than there were LA Ram fans. So to me, that's kind of shallow on the part of the LA Ram fan base. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. Eagles are at the Cardinals. Eagles extended their streak to 5-0. They beat the Arizona Cardinals 20-17, but it really came out to Jalen Hurts running the ball in this game. He had at least 2 rushing touchdowns in the game on 15 carries for 61 yards. He also was 26 for 39 for 239 yards. Kyler Murray had 250 yards on 28 for 42 throwing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Marquise Brown, had 8 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert had 8 catches for 95 yards for the Philadelphia Eagles. Devontae Smith had 10 catches for 87 yards. A.J. Brown had 3 catches for 32 yards. He was shut down for most of this game. So that's what made Philadelphia struggle a little bit on offense there. They were a little uneasy there. Matt Amendola missed a 43-yard field goal. Was wide right, no good. Cardinals failed as time expired to get it in there. Cameron Dicker had a 23-yard field goal for the Eagles. Marquise Brown had the 25-yard touchdown pass from Kyler Murray that made it 14-10. This was all the way around a really, great chance for Arizona to end the undefeated streak. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Philadelphia's a tough team. That's all I got to say. Philadelphia's a tough team. They're 5-0. It sets up next week for a 4-1 Dallas Cowboy team versus a 5-0 Philadelphia Eagle team. And a game next week where I think the Eagles' undefeated streak may come to an end. I'm not sure yet at this point. I'm still on the decisive here on whether or not they'll win or lose this game. This is their first real tough, legitimate opponent. I mean, you could argue Jacksonville maybe the week before, but I think realistically here in this game at home with a lot of pressure, a lot on the line here, it'll be interesting. The Eagles they were 7-point favorites at one point. Then it was 5.5. Now it's a 5-point favorite right now in this game next week. I'm taking right now a pass on this pick right now. I'll give you my pick on Saturday here, but I already have my pick set up for the other games, which I'll give on Saturday as well. But this game's going to be hard to pick because you got that tough Dallas defense and a tough Philadelphia defense. And I think that the scarier defense is Dallas because you got DeMarcus Lawrence and you got Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons, who's on like a Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan Defensive Player of the Year mission statement, is what I'm seeing right now from Micah Parsons. And what I'm seeing from DeMarcus Lawrence. Really, that Dallas defense is relentless. They came right after the Los Angeles Rams, and they got to Matthew Stafford at least 10 times in this game, maybe even 15 times on the quarterback hits. But 5 sacks on Matthew Stafford in that game. 5 sacks in their place. I just think that was a statement when Dallas is a really good team. They are really good. And Philadelphia is a great team. Dallas is a really good team. The only chance of them being great here is they get this statement win in Philadelphia. If they can get the Jalen Hurts. Look, Philadelphia last year got the Jalen Hurts. And I'm pretty sure Dallas last year swept them last year, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a case right now where this is a must-win for Philadelphia to extend that undefeated streak alive and to prove that, hey, they are for real. We beat this team. And by the way, the return of Dak Prescott is imminent. It's going to happen in week 6. Cooper Rush, see you bye. We all know you're 5-0 in your first start now. First NFL quarterback to do that in NFL history who was undrafted. That's great. It's fantastic. But see you bye. Thanks for coming. We want Dak back for this game. That's all I'm going to say. If Dak is not back in this game, it may sway my direction right now where I think Philadelphia gets the win here. If Dak comes back, this is a lot tougher for Philadelphia. That's all I'm going to say. This is a lot tougher for Philadelphia. It really is. We'll go to the Sunday night game. Joe Burrow and the Bengals taking on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. This was a nail-biting game. Started out right now with an 11-yard touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson, extending the Ravens' lead to 10-0 after Tucker kicked the field goal earlier in the game. The Bengals had to go 3-and-out in both their possessions. Next series after that, right now the Bengals had to go on a 3-and-out again. They just could not get anything going for Joe Burrow. Incomplete passes, sack on the play, sacked by Jason Pierre-Paul at one point. He got sacked twice in the game. Bengals could not do anything in the game to get anything going. Hayden Hurst gets a 19-yard touchdown pass from Joe Burrow, makes it 10-7. And McPherson before the end of the half gets a 40-yard field goal. It's now tied at 10-10. Justin Tucker, early third quarter, 58-yard field goal. He nails it, makes it 13-10. The Bengals, on their next series right now, goes on a 15-play, 73-yard drive. Starts out with a 4-yard run from Mixon, an 8-yard pass to Hayden Hurst, a 6-yard pass to Tyler Boyd there, and a deep pass play to Jamar Chase. Right now, Marcus Peters was called for pass interference. That turns into an 18-yard penalty. 4-yard run from Mixon, 10-yard run from Mixon. Perrine got a 4-yard run. Burrow had a short pass of Perrine for 7 yards there. Gets the first down at the Baltimore 13. They're in the red zone. Burrow does an incomplete pass to Hayden Hurst. Hamilton gets called for pass interference. Tyler Boyd gets sacked in the backfield. He lost 12 yards there. Sets up for a 12-yard pass play to Jamar Chase. They're short of the goal line. Now they're trying to go for a 4th and 2. Burrow tries to throw a shovel pass to Stanley Morgan. Incomplete. They turn it over on downs. And this is after the interceptions that were thrown both by Joe Burrow and by at one point Lamar Jackson. Jackson threw an interception early in the game. And the Raiders tried to go for a 4th down, could not get it early in the third. So that was the long drive played there. Then the Ravens had a long drive of their own. They had a 15-play, 91-yard drive. Starts out with J.K. Downs running into the 6-yard line for a 4-yard play. Deep pass to Mark Andrews, incomplete. Mark Andrews one more time on 3rd and 6. Converts it there for 20 yards. 7-yard run for Lamar Jackson. He gets a run down there. Another 3-yard run gets a first down. Lamar Jackson gets a 19-yard pass play to Mark Andrews again. Andrews was unstoppable in this game. A 9-yard passing play to Mark Andrews. A 10-yard pass play to DeVenry and the Cincinnati 23. This was setting up for Justin Tucker's 25-yard field goal there as they got a delay game penalty. They were trying to go for a 4th to try to draw him offsides. Could not do it. That's a Joe Burrow drive. He gets a 1-yard touchdown run, makes it 17-16. And then the Ravens, in the end right now, they couldn't stop the clock. The Bengals, they would use up all their timeouts. Makes it now, because it's setting up the 43-yard field goal. Time expired. Kick is good. Justin Tucker wins the game 19-17. Now the Ravens now improved to 3-2, while the Bengals dropped down to 2-3. This is okay. Okay, the Bengals losing this game, it's all right. They're not in trouble. They're not in any danger of being out of the playoffs at this point. Their schedule now going forward, I looked at their schedule as of yesterday. Here are your next opponents right now going forward. At the Saints, home against the Falcons, at the Browns, home against the Panthers, at Pittsburgh, and at Tennessee. Okay, those are your next 6 opponents right now if you're Cincinnati. That's the continuation of the first half and ending in the second half schedule. Okay, they can win at least most of these games. In fact, I believe they will win all these games. I think they can beat Tennessee. I think they can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Panthers, the Browns, the Falcons, and the Saints. In my opinion, the Saints right now, they got a lucky win. They got a lucky break with those 3 turnovers from the Seahawks. In fact, if it wasn't for those 3 turnovers, the Seahawks would have won that game. That would have completely gotten right in the advantage for Geno Smith. Now, you're going against an angry Joe Burrow, an angry Cincinnati offensive line. They played the best football yet with Joe Burrow, yet they couldn't do it. And in this game here with Burrow, who, by the way, threw for 217 yards, a touchdown, a pick, he didn't play great in this game. Lamar Jackson, he played dog trash in this game, despite the fact that Mark Andrews had a great game night at 8 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. Hurst had 6 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown for Cincinnati. But Jackson, who played an MVP the first few weeks, has simmered down a little bit, and now he's turning ice cold. This was all about the Justin Tucker show. This is what it really came down to here. He was perfect on every kick. The guy made it impossible for Cincinnati to get back in these games. He was clutch in prime time situations, and that's what makes it fun. So it just, in reality, it's one of those things where I think at the end of the day, Justin Tucker right now is one of the clutchest kickers in the NFL. It's unfortunate that happened to Cincinnati. That's all it really comes down to it here. This does not mean the Baltimore Ravens will win their division. It does not mean that. And look at the Ravens' schedule right now. Right now going forward, they're at the Giants next week, home against the Browns, at Tampa Bay, and at New Orleans. The best stretch for this one is 2-2, possibly 2-2, because they could beat the Saints, they could beat the Browns. The Giants and the Bucs are going to be tough to beat. So I don't care. The Ravens are 5-point favorites here. They're in New York. If it was home against them, I'd say maybe they go 3-1 in this stretch. But I just look at that, I say, okay, that's too easy there. And then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars later on in Jacksonville, and then you have the Broncos later on. I'm not convinced they're going to win the division. I'm not convinced at all. They'll be a playoff team maybe, but I don't think they're going to win their division. So Cincinnati's going to get right back on top of their division. And if worst comes to worst, they play in a wild card, whatever. It's all well and good. But yeah, that was a lucky win. And really just bad coaching the end there, and wasting all those timeouts was not good by Cincinnati. They gave, and then the clock had an issue there. They went from 1 minute 6 seconds to 1 minute 10 seconds. I mean, it was just not a good scenario there going forward with that. Raiders Chiefs Monday Night Football. This was game of the year in my opinion. This actually topped my Dolphins Ravens prediction for game of the year. This was an emotional, on your seat kind of grind, grind your teeth, watching every play, every moment. This is where it started with a 4th and 1 play. They said, why not? We'll go for it from our own 42-yard line. Derek Carr heaves it up deep. Devontae Adams wide open, 58-yard touchdown pass, makes it 7-0. On the first drive, the Raiders had the ball. Actually, on the second drive, because they had to go on a 3-and-out. The Chiefs also went on a 3-and-out because they were sacked by Max Crosby. This was a 4-play, 67-yard drive. Chiefs get the ball back. Mahomes, 10-yard pass to Watson, 7-yard pass to Hardman, a 4-yard pass play to Travis Kelce. Clyde Edwards-Helaire trying to get a run. He got no game. 11 yards for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Drive keeps on going. Mahomes scrambles to the right there for 4 yards there. Mahomes scrambled to right again for 16 yards there, gets a first down. Mahomes throws an incomplete pass to Juju Smith there. Trying to do it again, but Juju Smith, another incomplete pass to him. And then once again, Mahomes throws an incomplete pass down the middle. That was, I don't even know who was thrown into there, but it was deflected off for Abraham. It is 4th down. Chiefs trying to go for a 40-yard field goal. They missed the field goal. It's no good. Raiders still up 7-0. So that sets up for a drive right now from their own 31-yard line for the Raiders. 5-yard run for Jacobs. 1-yard run again for Jacobs again. Carr throws it in the middle for Renfro for a first down. Gets it for 5 yards. A 9-yard play to Jacobs at the middle. Jacobs again with a 1 yard for a first down. Carr runs it up the middle, passing it down to the right for 5 yards. A couple of weeks later, there was a pass interference call by Kansas City. White tries to run it for 7 yards. He loses 7 yards on the play. Derek Carr tries to throw a deep pass to Devontae Adams. Watson gets called for pass interference. Then Carr later on just hands it off to Josh Jacobs on 2nd and goal, makes it 14-0 Raiders in Kansas City. Kansas City forcing a 3-and-out once again after Mahomes trying to pass it over to Kelce for 6 yards. He failed to get it there. Then 34 incomplete pass. That's a Raiders drive, which ended up being on a field goal. So it started up for Jacobs for 13 yards. Jacobs again for 21 yards. They're now in Kansas City territory. Derek Carr throws the run for a push out of bounds for 2 yards at the 41. Carr throws into Jacobs again to the 34 for 7 yards. And that's it up Carlson's 53-yard field goal. Made 17-0 Raiders. Wow, the Raiders are up 17-0 before the end of the first half. Imagine that. Later on there, it set up the touchdown drive right now, which that get back to Travis Kelce there. Gets a 1-yard pass from Mahomes. And then Mahomes had a 6-yard play to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was almost ruled a touchdown but was reversed. Before that was a 14-yard play to Scantling. Crosby again gets sacked again. Mahomes had an 18-yard pass of Scantling again. Scantling was on fire in this game. But it did lead to that 1-yard touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. So I'm just going back for previous plays. Derek Carr got sacked, strip sacked, fumbled from behind, but it was called back for a personal foul, roughing the passer. Another bad call. I don't know what that call was for. I don't know what the officiating crew saw in that play. But Derek Carr was stripped from behind. It led to a field goal. The Raiders were up 20-7. Chiefs got another field goal before the end of the half. It's now 20-10. Start of the third quarter, that rally, the Chiefs up right now. They get the ball stuffed in their own 25-yard line. 8-yard pass play to Scantling. A 3-yard run for Helaire. 10-yard pass play to Helaire again. Helaire gets a 2-yard run. A couple plays later, Mahomes throws it to Scantling again for 23 yards down the short pass play there. McKinney gets a 4-yard run. Mahomes gets an incomplete pass there. There's a penalty on Las Vegas for illegal contact for 5 yards. A couple plays later, Mahomes to Juju Smith for 13 yards there at the 5. Later on, Mahomes, Travis Kelce again, touchdown. Second touchdown of the night for Travis Kelce. Raiders going to 3-and-out. Chiefs get the ball right back. Mahomes, 28 yards, and McCarl Harmon, they're the Las Vegas 27-yard line. Later on, 9 yards after the 9-yard run from Mahomes. McKinnon gets a 2-yard run. First down, Chiefs. Mahomes on a pass play to Juju Smith for 13 yards. Penalty was on the Las Vegas Raiders for horse collar tackle there on Juju Smith. That set up for a Mahomes getting sacked again by Perriman right there. He lost 7 yards. Mahomes pass play to Travis Kelce, 8-yard touchdown reception. Makes it 24-20. And there was a fight going on in the field at that point. It was unnecessary roughness by DeBallo, who was called for it there. Mahomes jawing off back and forth. Later on, the Raiders get their field goal, made it 24-23. Chiefs one more time. Why not? This is Mahomes' short play to Travis Kelce for 10 yards there. There was a penalty on the Chiefs now for illegal motion. Later on, Mahomes to McCarl Harmon for 36 yards. First down there. They're now in Las Vegas territory. Mahomes played a Noah Gray for 7 yards. Harmon again for 7 yards on a running play there. Edwards-Helaire lost 4 yards on a rushing play there. Mahomes throws it on an incomplete pass there. Actually, this is a – oh, no, it is a touchdown, right? A touchdown drive. Hold on. It was a 37-yard field goal. It was wide right, left, no good. It was penalized by the Raiders for defensive holding by McCoon. That sets up a 5-yard penalty there. Few plays later, Travis Kelce, one more time. Why not? He got the hat trick earlier. Now he's going to go for 4 receiving touchdowns in the game. Makes it 30-23. Kelce in this game only had 7 catches for 25 yards. Look at this. Targeted 8 times. 7 catches for 25 yards and 4 touchdown receptions. Juju Smith had 3 catches for 33 yards. Hartman had 4 catches for 73 yards. And Valdez Scantling had 6 catches for 90 yards. Mahomes in the game was 292 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 29 for 43 throwing in the game. That set up for the Chiefs, Raiders, for Devontae Adams' 48-yard bomb, his second touchdown reception of the night. Last chance for the Raiders there. They try to hook it up one more time. Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow bump into each other. Game is over. The Raiders lose to the Chiefs in a nail-biter in Arrowhead, 30-29. Raiders are now 1-4. The Chiefs are 4-1. The Chiefs are playing at home against the Bills this Sunday on CBS. The Raiders, Derek Carr in the game had 19 for 30, 241 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs had 21 carries for 154 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams had 3 catches for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. This was a wild game. This was game of the year. In my opinion, it had a lot of controversy. It had a lot of drama. It was probably the defensive holding kind of hurt the Raiders here, which led to that 4th touchdown play. That right there completely changed the whole dynamic there. And then they're trying to go for 2 to try to go for the win. I mean, I don't get what McDaniels was thinking there. I thought going for the field goal, you force overtime there. You try to tire out Kansas City's defense at that point. At that point, Kansas City's defense was exhausted. They were exhausted. If it wasn't for that bump right there, they probably would have screwed up that call too. I was convinced that the referees were going to call PI in this one on Kansas City, but they didn't. But the thought to this one is that Chris Jones went for a sack there. It was almost – there was a lot of penalties that really, like, I thought for sure this was all McDaniels written all over at that point, messing with the referees maybe before the game. Who knows? But this was a scary game to watch. I thought the Raiders were going to pull off the upset. I was kind of going to think about changing my pick to Raiders in this game, but I thought, nah, I'll stick with it. I had the Chiefs killing them in this game. And the Raiders do stink. I will say it. The Raiders do stink. But this was their best game yet. This was a moral victory on their part. They only lost by 1 point. They could have kicked the field extra point and forced overtime, or in this case right now, anyway, to force that one. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with the Raiders right now, and for one thing, it's head coaching. That's it. McDaniels, look, he tried to play out of the box here. He took a lot of gambles in the game. That last gamble didn't pick up right there with a 2-point conversion. That was the end of it there, and it really came down to the fact right now with that Hail Mary that Derek Carr tried to throw, and he just overthrew both Adams and Hunter Renfrow there. Who was it going to? I have no idea. But that was the end of the game there. Chiefs get the win. They survive at home against the Raiders, 30-29. A scary game for the Chiefs, and probably the game of the year, in my opinion, by far in Kansas City. I mean, TCU and Kansas had their game of the year. And now the Chiefs had the game of the year here last night. This was a huge game, huge win for the Chiefs. We're getting some breaking news right now on Damian Harris, who got injured over the weekend. Stevenson, by the way, had 166 yards against the Lions defense. Damian Harris will be missing multiple games due to a hamstring injury. That is very unfortunate for Damian Harris, and also very unfortunate for the Patriots right now because they're just down to Stevenson at this point, which means a lot more carries for Stevenson. And I would say right now, Ramon Stevenson now has the job right now going forward. I think he'll be the starting running back. Even if Damian Harris gets back, I think Stevenson took his job anyway. He had a great start to the season for Stevenson. So the Stevenson will be fine. Damian Harris being gone for multiple weeks here, that's not good. So we'll see what happens now going forward in that one. Brady, Chris, I meant to talk about this right now for the personal foul, roughing the passer calls. Chris Jones said there should be a review on a booth review on personal foul, roughing the passer calls. Like the time there was reviews on pass interference penalties, there should be a review right now on personal foul, roughing the passer calls. Now at this point, if they can't figure out, these referees, what roughing the passer is, that's not a good sign. It's just not a good sign. It was dumb from the beginning here. It made no sense. I don't know if it's just because they're afraid of the whole Tua thing, the Tom Brady thing getting out at this point. If people are going to get jealous because they're going easy on Tua, maybe. I don't know. And here's an idea. If that's really the issue here, don't let Tua come back the rest of the season here. He's already had 2 concussions. There's an idea. And the doctor staff at this point, who told me he didn't get concussed, what the Miami Dolphins staff did, told me he had a concussion, the other staff didn't. Well, that was them not doing their job. That's it. It's that simple. Teddy Bridgewater right now, the fact that he didn't get back in the game, he passed the protocol though, but it's not safe for him to go back out there. Good call. Good call on the Dolphins part of it. Good call on their part. They're willing to sacrifice that game against the Jets. Look, it's the Jets. What do you got to do? They stink. It's not going to mean anything to them. They'll lose next week anyway. Brady made fun of it. Has fun talking about the referee penalty call. This was just him moments ago about on a Grady Jarrett. He said, quote, a long unwelcome hug is what he called this right now at this point. He was just on the Let's Go podcast this morning talking about he said, quote, he played such a good game against us Sunday, And I had nightmares last night I'm thinking about it, but I'm glad we're through that game and glad we won, close quote. I will say this though, Grady Jarrett getting the hits on him, really honestly, the fact of the matter was that I think Brady knew he was going to lose that game for this team if he got sacked in that game, and he was kind of hoping for the luckiest penalty, and that was the luckiest call of his life. So I will give him that. That was a corny quote right there, an unwelcome hug. He always said it was unwelcome was because he got sacked. So that's the only way he said it was unwelcome. But look, he got away with a win. He got lucky. I mean, that's all there is to it. This was a great game played by Brady. The Bucs defense kind of screwed up in the end there for him, made it harder for Brady for absolutely no reason at all. That's all there was to it for that game there, as far as I'm concerned. But there should be a booth review now at this point. I mean, if these guys can't figure out what a roughing the passer has been for the last 25 plus years of football or 100 years of plus for football, then you've got problems. You've got problems within your organization in the NFL. That whole organization, that whole NFLPA and the NFL has got some problems with these referees. There was a referee problem. Even Boger went on Twitter, and there was a question here after this one. People were asking if it's related to the Tua thing. He said, quote, not exactly that, not necessarily that. I think in reality, he just figured, you know what? It was related. I think he's trying to cover the fact right now it is because of the whole Tua situation. But in reality, it's like this call was worse than what Chris Jones did, at least because Jones hit Derek Carr in the back. He did when he shut the fumble behind him. He hit it, the arm swatted his arm, his whole body weight, Jones's forearm got him in the back. That's all it was to it. It wasn't a low hit. It was a midsection hit, like in your back of your like in front of your abdomen here, right here in the front, the back part of your spine. That's basically what it was in that play. This was pathetic, in my opinion. This was pathetic. It was a pathetic excuse for that. There's no reasoning behind all this. That's all there was to it. I mean, in reality, that should have been not a personal foul, roughing the passer call. It looked totally bad on the referee part of it. The fans let him have it. There was a "you suck" ref chants, chanting bull crap. There was a lot there that was called in that game, and I think honestly this was a real necessary now looking at like on roughing the passer calls now going forward, because this was not a good look on the referee's part last night. This almost tainted the game. I'm sorry. That roughing the passer call almost tainted that football game. There's no excuse to have a game like that play out the way it played out. Now, luckily the Chiefs were able to win the game. Fine. But the fact that you can't figure out what roughing the passer is, first of all, it was a weak hit. Okay? I could hit better than that or harder than that, really, on that one. Chris Jones with a strip sack from behind. That's it. Right? That's it. That's the simple fact. The fact of the matter is that if this is got to come to the point now where they got to have to waste New York's time, waste the fans' time, waste the people who watch TV time on reviewing what a foul is supposed to be, I don't get it. You didn't call a personal foul roughing the passer against Sauce Gardner on Teddy Bridgewater when he got concussed, and it was a normal hit where, unfortunately, where he banged his head and didn't land properly the right way. First of all, that's on the quarterback for not landing properly in the right direction. Too fast. Right? Like, that's the story there. So now you have that. So you have that description right there, Sauce Gardner, who didn't get called for that foul there. Got technically his first career sack for intentional grounding against the Dolphins that weekend. I'm just making that as an example because Teddy Bridgewater got concussed. So he got thrown out of the game. Brady didn't get concussed on that wrap-up sack right there. He wasn't concussed, and it was called for a foul. And then you have his call last night with Derek Carr. And it's just, I look at that, I'm like, these are not personal foul calls. They're not. They're not roughing the passer. The passer's not roughed up. He's not bent out of shape. Now, if he was crying for a flag, great. Derek Carr wasn't crying for a flag in that play. What was he crying for? He was crying for nothing. He was crying because he fumbled the ball. And the referees just, I don't know, just thought willy-nilly, let's throw the flag because, I don't know, he might be concussed because he's crying. Is that what they were confused about? I mean, that was bad. That was really, really bad. And Derek Carr complains and whines and complains and moans all the time. He whined about Tom Brady. Oh, if he said this about me, on the mother bleeper that he's talking about, which he was, because he almost got a contract in Las Vegas. And realistically, right now, the Raiders this year would be a Super Bowl contender right now for the Raiders right now. If Brady were to be there anyway, Derek Carr would be in Tampa Bay right now. They'd be a contender just because of their defense. And the Bucs defense Sunday almost blew it. The Raiders defense blew it yesterday against Kansas City. Travis Kelce, who statistically had his worst game, might as well play like a blocking tight end, goal line tight end yesterday with his 25-yard reception and his 4 easy touchdowns. I mean, they couldn't cover this guy to save his life yesterday. Targeted 7 times yesterday and only got 25 yards out of it and 4 touchdown receptions. That's incredible. That's an incredible stat for Travis Kelce. I don't think anyone's ever done that before in a football game, to play like that. But yeah, good job on this part. Seriously, good job. But again, the referees, get your crowd together. If you got to go for a booth review now at this point, the NFL's got to go for a booth review, which this is going to be the most talked about thing all week now, is this booth review. Is it going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. Anyway, when we talk about Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, they got into an incident. There was a video that was released via TMZ that had Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole in the face. They had a fight altercation during their warm-up week for a preseason prep. Draymond Green did apologize and did step away from the Warriors for a little bit to, basically get away from Jordan Poole, get away from the media, get away from that situation. Now going forward, I had to get into this topic because I was going to forget. I'll sweep right back to the NFL and Matt Rule's firing in just a second. But this right here was Draymond Green showing there was no excuse for this. I think this is why Draymond Green didn't sign that extension, because I think Draymond Green is getting all tired from dealing with the young players and being the mentor veteran, when in reality he really isn't a real mentor. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are more mentors for the Golden State Warriors than Draymond Green really is. I'm sorry. And him getting a fight with Jordan Poole when he punched him in the face kind of showed it. He's not a mentor leader. He's just an obnoxious person who gets in his way from being with a team. He's irresponsible. He's reckless. And he creates controversy when there's really no need to create the controversy. I think this controversy of him getting a fight with Jordan Poole, a 23-year-old kid who's cocky, who really got the whole thing going, I think in reality it riled up Draymond Green, and he know it. And this I don't think the guy's not going to retire from this, okay? The guy just won a championship. He's not going to retire from this. Not yet. He's got another 2 or 3 years left. At this point, he's kind of washed up playing-wise. But he just does not have a clue on how to control his temper. That's it. Draymond Green's got a temper. He loses it constantly. Look back at that NBA Finals run they had back in 2016 where he got suspended. If it wasn't for that suspension, the team would have won that series, period. They would have never been at Game 7 in Golden State. Cleveland would have never came back from a 3-1 deficit. That's it. That's the reality. So, yeah, going forward, that didn't look good on their part. Period. That was pretty bad. I just got this just now. So Tony La Russa not going to return right now, but they're saying right now an ex-World Series winning manager named as top 2 option to succeed the Tony La Russa run here right now. They're saying now, according to USA Today, ex-San Francisco Giants manager Bruce Bochy is the leading candidate to succeed Tony La Russa's skipper as the White Sox. I think he takes the job. Bruce Bochy at this point, I think he could turn that whole White Sox team around. Are they going to be a World Series contender? No, but they'll be in a division series conversation. I think this will lead right to the White Sox right back to where they were beforehand. They'll win a wild card series and they'll lose the ALDS to whoever else next season. That's all. So that's the good news for them, for the White Sox. La Russa, he had a great managing season for the White Sox. It is what it is, but that's that. Now back to the NFL stuff, back to Matt Rule. The firing from Matt Rule, which took place on Sunday. Yesterday. Matt Rule, who I thought it was kind of odd that, that he was kept, they fired him this quickly. I actually predicted he would get fired within the next day. So This kind of surprised me that my prediction was right. I wasn't surprised about the firing, really. And really, the worst part of the whole thing is that you still owe this guy over $40 million. He's got 4 years left of his deal. And not only did he get fired yesterday, but the defense coordinator for the Panthers got fired. And here's my opinion. Matt Rule, I think, could have cared less about being on this football team. I think he really wanted to get fired. I think the team was trying to play for him. And in reality, they were outgunned. You had Baker Mayfield, who made too many mistakes. And Baker Mayfield is just not a starter mentality quarterback. He's not a good starter. And I think he should lose a job over Sam Darnold at this point. I think that's why that happened the way it did. He got injured, Baker Mayfield. He's got a high ankle sprain, so he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. So you now have P.J. Walker for the next 2 weeks possibly, or Sam Darnold whenever he gets back. Sam Darnold not expected to be back till after week 6. So you're stuck with P.J. Walker pretty much. And there's been rumors around where Christian McCaffrey might be on the move. Robbie Anderson might be on the move. And you know what? If Robbie Anderson is on his way out the door from the Panthers, and so be it. This guy's wanted out of Carolina now for a while. So the teams I think he would be going to right now is either Cleveland, Denver, or even in this case, Green Bay. The Packers do need another wide receiver. They do need another veteran wide receiver on that team. I think Dubes and Comp ain't going to be enough for Rodgers to be successful, I think. And I think it gives, and for Russell Wilson to play better, you just need another wide receiver to throw to anyway. Otherwise, the Broncos are going to stink the rest of the season, which I still think that way. I do. But Christian McCaffrey might be on the move. The Rams have been interested in getting him right now. The Buffalo Bills are interested in getting him right now. I think the Rams need a running back. The only problem with the Rams right now is that their offensive line is bad. So they're not going to give this guy enough time to get into the hole there, right up the middle or anything like that, or any counter plays or toss crack plays or anything like that, because the offensive line can't protect anybody. Buffalo, on the other hand, has got a great offensive line. They protect Josh Allen. They have good running backs, and they really don't have that number one running back on their team. Like, there's not a true number one. With Christian McCaffrey, you can get a true number one out of him, and he can get you to the promised land. I think he will. I think that completes their whole Super Bowl winning team. In fact, I can see Christian McCaffrey long term ending his career in Buffalo. I do. I think Christian McCaffrey ends his career in Buffalo. I think he stays with the Buffalo Bills for the rest of his career if he comes here. Same with Von Miller. Same with Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs, I think, stays there. I think Gabriel Davis stays there. I look at guys like Isaiah McKenzie. I think he stays there too. I don't think this team is going anywhere for a while. Dawson Knox, look, I think he'll stay. I think he'll go. I think either way you look at it, he'll be a good free agent whenever his contract comes to an end. But Christian McCaffrey and the rest of that trio, they're all staying in Buffalo. I can't imagine Josh Allen ever leaving Buffalo. And I can't imagine Buffalo Bills not starting a dynasty with this team. I just can't imagine it not happening. I can't imagine this being a one-hit wonder and that's it. Buffalo goes right back to mediocrity and not have a dynasty going forward. But Matt Rule, as a head coach, I think personally, it does look bad on their part. And I went through a tough debate about this because at the end of the day, for Matt Rule, he just did not care about winning anymore. He did not care about this team anymore. He knew he was on his way out the door. It got to that point. It really got to that point where the guy was never happy. That's it. The guy was never happy in this whole thing. Let's see. Tua Tagovailoa not ready to resume football activities due to the offense quarterback doing well. There's no timetable right now on when Tua will come back. And they have not named a starter yet right now because they're trying to figure out if Teddy Bridgewater is going to play this weekend or it is going to be Skylar Thompson one more time. And if Skylar Thompson plays one more time, I kind of have a bad feeling that Skylar Thompson might get the starting job and the Dolphins might end up losing. So, either way you look at it, it's not looking good for Miami. So that was the news there. Derek Carr last night had a career touchdown 200 and 201, I believe, to Devontae Adams last night. And Devontae Adams last night after the Raiders loss could be suspended after shoving a stadium worker to the ground after the Raiders lost last night. The league is reviewing that suspension as of right now. So the Raiders could be losing their star wide receiver and could be losing more games now going forward. So that doesn't look good on their part. And finally, one more story here, then I'll wrap it up. Ime Udoka, the alleged affair continues. The partner was revealed to be the wife of a valued Boston Celtics minority owner. This is according to Yardbreaker, and Kyle Trader of US Today was the one who, and Daily Mail, who also revealed the story, had an affair with a connection with the organization. Boston Celtics were high and fly. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Udoka being suspended for the filing for what was reported as a consensual workplace relationship. However, as more details came out, it became apparent that the situation was more complicated than initially anticipated. And the understanding is that Udoka likely won't return after a year. With not many details being made available to the public, fans were left to guess what had happened. This led to an unexpected consequence. A lot of the female Celtic staff members were stalked online and discussed as potential partners. It got so bad that GM Brad Stevens had to address it, with the situation getting quite upsetting for the mentioned employees. This is where the alleged partner were named as Kathleen Nemo Lynch had the affair. Lynch was married and has a mother of three children and reportedly Mormon. And apparently she had ties with Danny Ainge and another minority owner that was involved in the whole thing. So it was Danny Lynch's friend and a minority owner of the Boston Celtics. So it does not look good for me, Ime Udoka, at this point, okay? Ime Udoka getting this right now looks terrible. It makes the Celtics look very bad here. The minority owner might be in trouble himself for owning this team and to have personal ties with the team. So it was a traveling agency thing. Then it was a minority owner. So I think it's both. I think for this person, but unfortunately, this got a lot worse for Ime Udoka before it got any better. And that's it. I mean, Ime Udoka lost himself there in a moment, cheated on his wife, or I guess his fiance in this case. So yeah, that's it for Ime Udoka right now. At this point, got suspended right now. It was revealed that she was a minority owner as well. Look, we already knew the name in the first place. It was Kathleen Nemo Lynch. I knew that was the name. I forgot one day on one of the episodes of the podcast, but yeah, it was not looking good on her part. That's unfortunate. It is what it is. But yeah, that's it. Not much else to say about that one right now at this point. It was revealed that she had also another job title position, which means now Ime Udoka's coaching career could come to an end just simply because he made a mistake. He slipped his way to the top, basically. And because even though the guy was soaring high, the affair happened right before the season even started last year. So go figure. Joe Mazzulla, of course, is now the interim head coach filling in. He may be the permanent head coach now going forward after this upcoming season. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So what are you going to do? Tom Cruise. This is unrelated to this right now because I'm moving on from the Ime Udoka story. Tom Cruise is thinking about filming a movie in space. The first time a movie will be ever filmed in space in history. Tom Cruise wants to become the first person. That was reported as of yesterday. So good for Tom Cruise. Plans on becoming the first actor to film a movie in space. Working on a Universal project right now with Doug Liman. So good for him. This was according to Hyper Beast on Entertainment. And I don't know who wrote the article here, but it was according to Hyper Beast. So good for Tom Cruise. Wants to be the first person to do a movie in space. I'd say good luck to you. Because I don't know how the hell he's going to do it. But it'll probably definitely win an Oscar. It'll definitely win an Emmy, an Oscar, you name it. It'll win all the awards, film awards. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out for Tom Cruise. It will be. Later on tonight, it will be the ALDS. So you have your first matchups of the night for baseball. You have the Phillies taking on the Braves today at 1:07. The Mariners and Astros are playing at 3:37. Guardians are at the Yankees at 7:37, and the Padres are at the Dodgers at 9:37. All the coverage are on TBS, Fox, and FS1. I'll be on later on tonight. And that's it for our show. You can follow me on my social media, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Bleacher Report, and TikTok. I have given the list before. To my subscribers, thank you. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe to the video. I hope this will help out the pod a lot. Until then, have a great week. I will post scores on my Instagram story, on my Facebook story, and in my Bleacher. I'll give you the scores on Bleacher Report for Tuesday. I'll give the scores out for Tuesday. I'll give the scores out for Wednesday, for Thursday, and for Friday. If there's going to be and then probably for Saturday. And I will get into Saturday's games. So I will re-highlight most of those games that I post on my story through all my social media pages. I will have a show on Saturday that will do NFL picks and do the college football review for my picks for the week. I will see what Mike had picked this week for college football to see if he was right or wrong. We'll do our NFL picks. And that's really about it. You have Mike's social media. He's got Snapchat. He's got Instagram. He's got Twitter. I don't think he has a TikTok, I believe. I don't think he does. But anyway, I am signing off here. Have a great rest of your week, guys, and I will see you on Saturday. I'm out.